Hey everybody, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily, and this is Paper Cuts. We are talking to none other than Todd Keisling. Now, you might be familiar with Todd's work. He is the author of Scanlines, Devil's Creek, Cold Black and Infinite, and then his latest is the phenomenal novel, The Sundowner's Dance. I was lucky enough to get an advanced reader copy of The Sundowner's Dance. Todd, what a gem that man is. He is as sweet and kind as he is tall. I often tell people that my waking nightmare as a man who is average height, 5'8". There's nothing wrong with that. It's average. It's not short. I'm looking at you guys that are 5'2". Now that's short. There's nothing I can do for you. 5'8". It's nice and average. Nothing wrong with that. My waking nightmare is to have to take a picture between Todd and Paul Tremblay. I won't do it. They're begging me to do it. I won't. Anyway, Todd and I sat down. We got into how this novel came about. I'll save it for the interview. I won't spoil anything, but it's actually it's a touching story, frightening story, touching story, ultimately. And, just how it all transpired, and then it planted that seed that then grew into this novel. And I think that's usually one of the most fascinating aspects of doing an interview with an author, is to find out, how did this all start? What's your process? How do you grab onto the idea? I love that. I hope you love hearing it as well. We have a special guest star in this interview, and that's none other than Mr. Robert Ottone, who I feel like every time I turn around, talking to Robert, which is the best way to live your life. Trust me. Love Robert. Love all his work. He's got a new one coming out, by the way. It is the third installment of the Rising trilogy. I'm going to be talking to Robert, and we're actually going to do a cover reveal. This isn't Robert's interview. It's Todd's. Let's get into the Sundowner's Dance. Robert joins us because Todd and Robert are fast friends. And we actually touch upon something else that I want to make a point of, which is what happened with Todd and Richard Chizmar, and Cemetery Dance. And look, Todd will unpack that. Robert certainly has opinions, as Robert does, which is one of my favorite things about him. He's not a shy man. But, hopefully I'm not getting over my skis here. I don't think I am, but I will put this out there. Pay your authors, people. Just pay your authors. They put the sweat equity in, and I have met very few authors in the 2 years that I have been doing this, and I've been very lucky to talk to some of the most dynamic authors out there, mainstream and indie. And I'm telling you right now, very few of them are able to just support themselves and their family through writing alone. They are hustling at careers, teachers, and marketing, and legal, and this and the other, and they do this as a passion. So when you don't pay them on time, A, what they're worth, and B, what they've done, that's a poor look on you. So I'll leave it there. Yeah, I already said I'm 5'8". How threatening could I be? All right, well, sit back, have a listen. I hope you enjoy this interview. Hey, everybody. Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily, and the Paper Cuts column, and I have none other than the incredible, super talented Mr. Todd Keisling with me tonight. We are promoting and talking about the Sundowner's Dance. Todd, all right. Scanlines was fantastic. Devil's Creek was fantastic. Cold Black and Infinite, those stories were incredible. I don't know, man. This one might be the top for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm a huge Devil's Creek fan. You know that. I
know that.
But this one, okay. Just so I don't suck all the oxygen out of the room, but I gotta get it out of the way off the bat, and then I'll let you have at it. I want to know how this novel came to be. I know there was because I listen when I see your name pop up on podcasts. I'm like, I gotta listen to Todd. I gotta hear him. So I heard you on the Arc Party. It was a great conversation, by the way. So I know a little bit of the backstory with Erica and the health scare, and thank goodness that that turned out to be nothing. That's the most important thing.
Thank you.
But I definitely want to get into the germination of the novel. But I have to ask, this the Sundowner's Dance is such an incredible read along with T.E.D. Klein's The Ceremonies. Specifically, he's got a short story, The Events of Porth Farm. And I'm telling you, the kinship between your novel and The Ceremonies, it's like it blew my mind. Was that any kind of inspiration, or have you even read that novel?
Yeah, so like I have read The Ceremonies. I read it about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's easily one of the best modern examples of folk horror and cosmic horror, by extension. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but no, like that wasn't on my mind when I wrote the Sundowners Dance. I was, you know, thinking more along in movie terms as far as like The Burbs and Cocoon and The Color Out of Space.
This, I love that it wasn't even remotely an inspiration, because I'm telling every single viewer that is watching this and is going to read the article that accompanies this that this is a new masterpiece of folk horror and cosmic dread. This and The Ceremonies, like I said, perfect read along. But boy, people that are jonesing for some great folk horror, I don't know that you could do better right now than The Sundowner's
That's
Dance.
interesting to me because I wouldn't classify the Sundowners as folk horror per se.
It feels like I don't. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a spoiler-free conversation because I want everybody to go out and read the book. I guess it's the Arthur of it all. And again, I won't spoil anything, but
Okay.
it's the
Okay.
Arthur of it all and his backstory and how he kind of grows this community and what the purpose for growing that community I feel is very entrenched. And again, it's one reader's opinion, but I felt that really gave me the great folk horror vibes. But then you're not content with that. Then you switch gears. I mean, this thing goes all the way to 11, and then we have some insanely phenomenal cosmic dread that gets introduced, and all bets are off. So let's start from the beginning.
All
Gotta
right.
know where the idea come from,
So, uh, been answering this question a lot lately.
right?
The earliest germ of this story goes back to a line that popped into my head when I was at work one day. We're talking like 2018 at this point. I'm still working in a corporate office, and you know, I'm not a morning person, and you can see how that doesn't align with corporate mentality. So I'm always dragging ass when I go into the office. And I just, this is before I knew about, my being on the spectrum and be having ADHD and all that. And I've described it as having the, like bees humming in my head. It's just this constant noise and just input from everything. And it makes it hard to focus, especially when I'm tired. And this line popped into my head that, the worms in my brain dance at nightfall. And the only thing I can trace that the origin of that to is a comic strip that I followed when I was in college called The Parking Lot is Full. You can find some remnants of it, but the site itself is gone. Like it was basically like a darker version of the Far Side,
Okay.
and an independent comic strip. It wasn't like syndicated anywhere, but it was like an early web comic from like the late 90s, early 2000s. and there was this one comic strip of a professor standing at a chalkboard and in front of an auditorium of students. And I forget what the caption said, but the idea was that he was infested with something and he was trying to communicate. So like in the middle of this math formula, he's written like worms in brain, please send help or something like that. And nobody's paying attention because it's a college class and an auditorium full of students. And that's, I think that's where it comes from. But why it popped into my head that particular day, I was having trouble focusing and I guess I just, worms in my brain, you know, and that came out as worms in my brain dance at nightfall. And that was the root of this story that, it grew from there. That was before, the more grief aspects were there. That was before I even knew it was happening in a retirement community. I just had that line and I wrote it down and I set it aside because I do that sometimes where I'll write down just single sentences and save them for later because you never know. And so I had also been kicking around different ideas at the time because I was really getting back into writing short fiction because I just finished the first draft of Devil's Creek.
Okay.
So I was kicking around the idea like, okay, what if there's this, elderly guy, he doesn't like his neighbors, and it's kind of like a situation where he's the guy that, you know, kids will cross the street to avoid. They don't, he's the one who yells at them to stay off his lawn and what have you. And because, that's absolutely me. I don't tell kids to get off my lawn, but I just want to be left the fuck alone.
All I
Like,
could
you
see,
know,
all I could see in Jerry was you. That's all.
and, like I'm not a social person. And like that, that, that setting, the elderly character. And I thought about, well, that would be really interesting to write from his perspective because, everybody's got a story, you
Yeah.
don't know how people are. There's always a reason. And I really enjoy like digging into the reasons why something is the way it is or, why someone acts the way they do. And I started writing the story in 2018. At the time, it was called Beneath the Eye of the Moon because I was gonna pair it with the worms in my brain dance at nightfall thing, and I just thought, what if like this guy moves into a neighborhood and finds that his neighbors are worshiping the moon, and so it kind of started to go from there. I hit about 11,000 words and realized, shit, this wants to be longer. I don't like the direction this is going, so I'm going to work on something else because the last thing I wanted to do was work on something, long form again after Devil's Creek. So I set it aside for a little while. Author Chad Lutzke and I kicked around the idea of like co-writing it and taking what I had as a seed
Really?
and building from there. But for various reasons, it didn't take off, and I had way too much other things going on. And, I'm very particular about how I tell a story. Chad's process is entirely different. No shade to him. Love Chad. But it just wasn't the right time, the right fit. And so, I scrapped everything that, we collaborated on and just kept the original piece. And then I guess it was 2021, I guess. Doug Morano and D. Alexander Ward contacted me and invited me to write something for an anthology they were putting together called Shadows Over Main Street, Volume 3. And I was in the middle of, different projects at the time. So I'm thinking, okay, what do I have in the drawer that I can, maybe use as a springboard to something that would fit. And I remembered this story about the old man. And I, initially went back to it aiming to compress it down into like a 5,000 word short story. And after I read through the full 11,000 word piece, I'm like, there's no fucking way. This is a novella, you know. So I got started on it and wrote back to Doug and say, hey, sorry, this is taking off. I'm, gonna have to back out of the Antho. And then I started working on it into, I guess this was maybe late 2021 into 2022. I finished a first draft, which was about 60,000 words, not long at all. It needed work. There was a lot missing, and it came from me resisting wanting it to be another massive tome.
Yeah.
Because, that was everybody made fun of me after Devil's Creek because it's like, oh, Todd doesn't know how to write anything short. It's got to be a 600-page monster, which is fair, which is fair. Uh, but I I wrote the draft. I wasn't happy with it. And then, I set it aside for a couple of months, and then we're coming into about the summer of 2022 here. And I just realized I may have misspoken in other interviews about the timeline because, you know, ADHD brain.
Yeah, it all blends together. I get you.
But 2022, while I'm working on the second draft, uh, is when Erica had her health scare, cancer scare, and all of that went into the book. The the grief, the dread, the possibility that I might have to, face worst case scenario with my wife's health. You know, all of that is stewing around in my head as I'm working on the second draft. And then finish that. Erica's, is clear in the clear with, no cancer. It was just a benign mass that they found. Um, she's in the clear and still is, fortunately. Uh, so going into 2023, I had some really good feedback from several other friends. Laurel Hightower specifically gave me some incredible feedback. That became the third draft.
Okay.
And I was in the market for a new agent. I met Becky at StokerCon, pitched her the book, and the rest is history, really. From there, we did another edit at a fourth draft that went out for submission, and it landed with Shortwave, and we had, you know, two more drafts after that. But they were I'd say the fifth draft was, really made it, gave it some polish,
Tighten it
made
up
it
a little more.
shine, and like moving some things around so reveals came later and not sooner. Because where I had been like resisting the book and then trying to expand it, it was uneven in places because, there's parts of the book where I was really trying to get to that ending because I didn't want it to be any longer than it was. Then there's the new parts that kind of take their time. So it was smoothing all of that out, filling in the cracks, making it look like I knew what the hell I was doing in the first place. And then we just had a line edit after that. And that's how we got to today.
Well, look, it's someone who has read the novel. Nothing feels rushed.
Thank
Everything,
you.
the book starts, it really is a testament to grief, and coping after loss and that, that the unknown. How am I going to go through this losing someone who meant the world to me? I think one of my favorite parts, and again, I had to be very careful. This is not a spoiler. So Jerry loses his wife Abby, and moves into this retirement community, and it's strange. The people are lovely, but maybe a little too lovely, and there's some nocturnal shenanigans that don't sit well with Jerry at first, and then really don't sit well with him as the story goes on. But it really begins as this this testament to grief, and it was moving, Todd. It really was, because it's right there on the page, and you just feel it. I love Jerry's arc because he starts at such a low point, and he's such a reluctant hero. And he'd be the first one to say, "I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who's dealing with these bizarre circumstances because I have to, not because I want to, because they're being forced onto me and into my life." But I think one of my favorite parts when I finished the novel, I reflected on it, and it's you do this amazing thing where you have Jerry thinking about what Abby would want him to do. And the irony is, if Abby were there witnessing this, she'd be saying, "We got to get the hell out of here." But in his head, he's saying, she'd want me to cross the street, say hi to the neighbors. She'd want me to go to this damn, moonlight meeting around the moon pool. He's convincing himself that this is what she'd want. And I'm convinced that she'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed that. I really had a great time with that whole dynamic of Abby constantly in Jerry's head, and Jerry kind of misinterpreting the roadmap that Abby was laying out for him on how to respond to everything. And I just got the biggest kick out of it. And I know readers going to get a big kick out of it as well.
Thank you.
This novel is insanely cinematic. That third act is just, it's so good. It just escalates, and to a point where you kind of have, because we've talked about it previously, and I'm not comparing it to In the Mouth of Madness, but you have your In the Mouth of Madness moment where, like in that film, you just escalate till you get to the point where it's just like your eyeballs are melting, and that's what happens in this novel. We get to that point, and I was like, "Todd, you did it! You did it! You stuck the landing." Oh, it was so good. And then your epilogue is just so, it's so sweet and affecting. And I'll stop there because I got a big mouth, as you know, and I don't want to spoil anything. But the epilogue, just for a phenomenal novel that I really fell in love with, that was just the cherry on top of the cake. And yeah, again, I want to show the Sundowners dance. If you're not picking this up, you're missing one of the best novels of 2025. I'm talking about novels. Then we're going to put it in
Thank
the
you.
category of horror novel, and we're going right to the top, my friend. This thing is just, this sets a bar. This sets a bar for you too. I'm sorry to say. Good luck on the next one.
Thanks.
You got some big shoes to fill. Oh man. Okay. I have to ask you. Let's get into the
Sure.
characters a little bit. I see so
Okay.
much of you and Jerry. So,
Absolutely.
but were there other influences? Because he's a really dynamic, incredibly fleshed out, heartbreaking, yet heartbreaking curmudgeon, but you can't help but love him.
So Jerry is obviously a projection of myself, at that age, because I know my habits and I know my eccentricities, and I would absolutely be a Jerry-like person at that age. He's also named after my late grandfather,
Oh,
uh, my papaw Jerry, as we said back in Kentucky. Um, and he passed away in 2000 from lung cancer.
sorry.
And so he was also a bit of a, he could be a curmudgeon, but he was also a teddy bear.
Yeah.
And so, I had him in mind as well. and just kind of his no nonsense, no bullshit attitude. So that's kind of where Jerry came from. It's a combination of my grandfather and my own habits and weirdness.
Now, what about Kat and Arthur? I'm very curious about Arthur particularly. What any influences or just a complete, concoction of your imagination?
Cat, I think, was just a complete, came out of the ether. Like, I didn't even know, like, Cat and her daughter Lisa specifically, like, Lisa was the reason why it became a novel.
Really
Yes.
interesting.
Because I had a whole, like, trajectory, a novella length planned until Lisa knocked on Jerry's door.
Okay.
And I hadn't planned for it. And I'm like, God damn it. Yeah, because I hadn't planned on her being Kat's daughter. I thought she was just her nurse. And, that opened up a whole new dynamic. And that really changed the course of the novel. Well, the story as it became a novel. Um, Lisa to me kind of reminds me a little bit of my friend Laurel. Uh, just in no bullshit attitude as well. She's very, very on point and is constantly having to deal with her mother.
Okay.
Uh, you know, not gonna say any more about that. Love you, Laurel. Um, and the cat though, cat is hard to pin down. Like she's a bit of an amalgamation of different personalities. Like I didn't have like any one person in mind when I created her. Uh, though I guess if I had to, you know, if you put a gun to my head, might say my grandmother.
Okay.
Um, because she always played off my grandfather's, gruffness and kind of kept him in line a little bit. So,
I love the
uh,
relationship that develops between Jerry and Kat.
yeah, yeah, that's something that Laurel actually helped me with, and Becky as well. They helped me make that relationship not so sudden, but develop.
Yeah.
And again, that was a remnant of me trying to have a faster paced story.
It's funny that you say not so sudden in relationship to that, and you're right. It feels organic. It takes its time. It's well earned. I would say the same. My thought upon reading the novel was your your escalation of dread, which is why we pick up horror novels. We get into it. Okay, take us for a ride, but don't take us too fast. Like we want the most fun part of the roller coaster is that click, 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 click going up with the anticipation of the drop. So you don't want to rush that, and you don't. I felt like everything you doled out the clues and the scares economically. Footsteps on the roof. What the hell is that? The odd behavior of the neighbors. By the everyone saying,
Hold on a second. My two cats are fighting right in front of me on my desk. Would you guys knock it off? Jesus Christ, get the fuck off my desk. Sorry about that.
that's a first. That's a Macabre Daily first. Fighting cats. We're gonna incorporate this into all our. Where's there a temptation? Was there ever a temptation? Because you're there, you are. You're in your world and you're writing and you're creating these scenes and you're building the story. Was there ever a temptation to dial it up quickly? Because one of the best parts of the novel was how you space everything out. And then we really go over the falls and then it just picks up momentum and man, does it pay off.
So I have a bad habit of mine as a writer is because like I already know, like I already have these scenes in mind, right? And I have a hard time saving them for the right moments. So sometimes in like earlier drafts, I will reveal things or, you know, bring in a scene like that too early. And that's something that, I have to fix in, subsequent edits. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with just, it's, I know what it's going to be, what it means to the plot, and I want to get to it because it's going to be fun to write. I also tend to rush things when I'm like in the last like third of a book. I tend to go through pretty fast. Um, and so slowing it down, slowing the pacing and getting the pacing right was something that uh Marissa, my editor at Shortwave, really helped with. And it wasn't so much a matter of having to rewrite a lot, it was more just moving scenes around and moving bits and pieces of information around. Like what happens at the real estate agent's office came sooner. A lot of that came sooner.
Okay.
Um, and it is where it is now in the story because of Marissa's insight, and she was absolutely right. Like save this for a little bit later, and because there's a lot going on in that story. You got the stuff happening on the roof. You got the stuff going on with the neighbors. You got Arthur. You've got what's going on in Jerry's head. You've got the possibility that he's been doped with something.
Yeah.
And not to mention the whole cosmic element to it. So it was necessary to kind of not cram it all together, space it out, and give Jerry some time to breathe. And I also wanted to establish like the day-to-day drudgery of having to live with grief and dread, and how, it doesn't matter what you are doing, it's there.
Yeah.
And it's just below the surface sometimes, and you can't see it, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. And those, and to me, are some of the worst aspects of depression. It's like, even if you're functional and you can actually get up and you go to work or do, piddle around the house or whatever you're doing, there's still this emptiness just below the surface, and it's waiting.
Yeah.
It's just waiting for you to let your guard down. So I wanted to really get into that. And because at the time I was going through that, and it was my way of helping me process everything that was happening in my outside life, essentially.
God, I'm sorry. I just have to click this here. We got something weird going on. What is going on here?
My cats.
Hold on. Let me see.
Oh God, really?
Hell, what the hell is this?
I
I
I
was
just want to say real quick that this was supposed to be my interview.
listen, you got to spice things up sometimes. You got to introduce a little ginger into the mix. You got to get weird. You know what I mean?
Well,
You got to spice it up.
God, I couldn't
this
help
is the
myself.
thing.
I couldn't
it's
help
all right.
myself.
It's
I
all
was
right.
I was soaking my feet. I was listening to Notorious B.I.G. I was having a cigar, and I was like, "Wow, what's Short O'Connor doing?" And I had the link. I always have a link, so any future listeners, be ready. 'Cause
Robert,
might
do I
hop
not?
on whenever.
I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is send you a link,
It's true. That's actually true.
just in
And
case.
then I was like, oh, he's got my son Todrick on, so I'm gonna hop on, and we'll see what we're doing. We'll see what's
Your
happening.
son?
Robert,
If that's the case, you owe me 18 years of child support, motherfucker.
we're promoting the hell out of the Sundowners dance. One of the best, if not, it's top 5 for me in novels, not just horror novels. It's top 5 for me in novels of 2025 so far, and horror novels, forget it. I told Todd that God help his next book, because this one just, it leaves everything on the field, almost literally. I mean,
That's true.
A good
My
friend
next
of mine.
book is I will say that You're on, Sean.
All right. All right. I accept the challenge.
A good friend of mine had a pretty good description for it that I didn't even really think of, and they described it as like a modern Harvest Home with an elderly cast, but more cosmic. And I was like,
I
"Ooh,
love that.
that's pretty good. That's pretty
I
good."
actually have never read Harvest Home.
You've
I
never read
need
Harvest
to.
Home?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean Thomas Tryon in general is amazing.
I have a old beat up paperback of it because I know I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, but
Love.
it's definitely Todd's book is definitely one of my favorites of the year, probably my favorite of the year. I don't know what else is out. I don't really care what else is out. I just know that Todd's book uh knocked me on my ass and I love it. I've told everybody that I possibly can about it
Same.
and it's just wonderful. I'm so glad I got to read it. I'm so glad I got to blurb it.
Thank you.
And I really love it. I stand by what I said in our book launch thing that we did that it's definitely your best book in my opinion and it's my favorite that you've done.
I agree.
Thank you.
And I was telling Todd, I'm a huge Devil's Creek fan. Huge. Coal Black and Infinite, love those stories. But I read this, I flew through this. And Robert, just to catch up, we were just talking about the economy of scares in the beginning, how everything kind of happens organically. It's not too much. Todd leaves the clues and draws you along and kind of like, hooks you behind the gill and pulls you along. But then you get 2/3 of the way through, and viewers and readers, it escalates. I mean, it's not like, oh boy, I got to get through this book to get to the end. Not at all. It starts out so emotional in the beginning. The grief, just what Jerry's going through. I mean, it just pours off the page. You just feel for this man. And then the introduction of the bizarre. And I love that you brought up the Burbs, Joe Dante's The Burbs, because man, oh man, is that perfect. I mean, it really is. It's just this whacked out neighborhood that never planes out. It just keeps getting weirder. And then, I mean, then it's just like you're like, all right, I'm just dialing it up to 11, and here we go. Hold on, and then your eyeballs explode. In the best way possible.
Yeah, The Burbs was first of all, The Burbs is an underrated gem, and I'll fight anybody who
Hard
says
agree.
otherwise. It might be my favorite Tom Hanks film, honestly. Um,
My favorite Joe Dante movie without a doubt.
Oh shit, guys,
yeah,
we're gonna have to do a Burbs episode now. We're gonna have to.
I'm in.
but
All right.
like it's just it's it's a perfect movie, you know. Everything gets wrapped up and it has everything you would expect. There's a mystery, there's some spookiness to it. And there's also these three bumbling neighbors who don't know what the fuck's going on, but they think they do. And for me, that's like it reminds me so much of office culture
Mm.
in a way. It's like basically a microcosm of these little pods of people that you find when you put them together. You got these different personalities, but someone always fits the archetype role somehow. Like here's the more militant person. Here's the guy who's just happy to be here. Here's the guy who's always meddling in shit and causing problems for the others. It just seems to me it's like just a perfect shining example of, if like someone from another country asked, give me a perfect example of Americana. Here's The Burbs.
Yeah, Middle
Watch
America.
this.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Hey, can we talk about? I want to go back to Arthur for a second.
Sure.
I'll I'll make a case that, and it's no spoiler. So Arthur is our antagonist, but there's a case to be made that Arthur's got his own story, and Jerry's really fucking that up. You know,
Yeah.
and he's kind of has he's fully committed to what he wants to do, And there's a purposefulness to it that may be rooted in goodwill, and providing a better life for people. Again, his assumption, I don't think know that he necessarily gives people a choice, before recruiting. He's just kind of like cherry picking. But I was, yeah, when I finished the novel, I was like, all right, Arthur definitely is our big baddie, but is he? In his eyes, I mean, that's a great villain when you can sympathize with him and say, wait a minute, he doesn't see himself that
Yeah,
way. Yeah,
like that's the thing about, writing villains is the villains are the protagonists in their story.
yeah,
So it just so happens that you've got two people who are, completely opposites of one another and they want different things, but achieving those things puts them at odds with one another. That's how you get the dynamic of the hero and the villain.
yeah.
Um, so to Arthur's mind, he's doing something good for people, and but he overreaches.
Todd, we can cut this if I'm spoiling, but I've got to talk about it. Your creature,
Yes.
I love. Again, I say that you write cinematically. Robert, you do too, by the way. Insanely cinematic. I mean, you just paint these vivid pictures, both of you, and I love it. I just love what you two create. This creature, oh boy, would I like to see that on film. Your descriptions, it's just again, I have to be very careful because I want the reader to discover this for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Man, your descriptions and just the physiology of it, I was immediately in love with.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
was I was thinking of how you could go into talking about it without giving too much away, and I'm like, oh,
It's
I don't know,
impossible.
like,
Yeah.
well, we could use a phrase that Jerry uses in the book, or maybe no, it's Catherine who uses it. And it's not really going to give anything away, but the noodle heads.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Or as a someone who was at my signing a few weeks ago, suggested, 'cause I read the scene where Jerry goes outside at night for the first time to find out what it is. That's the scene I've been reading and live, then it's short and it ends with a punch. And a reader who was there listening suggested, so I can't wait to find out what the knot birds are. And I think knot birds is a good one. I like
Yeah.
that, the knot birds.
That is a good one.
who
Um,
was that? Who said that?
I don't remember.
Oh, I gotta know. I want to know. I want them
It
to
was your
name my
mom, Rob.
creatures.
It was your mom.
Oh God, my mom doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Um, yeah, like so again, it was one of those surprises the story threw me. Like I didn't really know, like I had an idea, but I didn't know how gruesome until, you know, I actually got to that scene and I'm like, wow, okay, let's roll with this. Um,
And boy, roll you do.
it was very much unexpected body horror, but I think it works.
Yeah, it works. It definitely works. I
And the implication, and this you can cut because this is a spoiler.
Okay.
But the implication of the fact that the people who were changing into these things are still conscious and trapped inside, this mutation, that to me is fucking horrifying.
It is. Yeah.
And it's kind of it's an interesting commentary, and I guess you'll have to cut this or whatever, but like an interesting commentary on like dementia
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
body betraying or the body betraying the mind and stuff like that.
Mhm.
There's so many layers to this damn novel. I mean, the journey we go on with Jerry, it goes from tragic to bizarre to heroic to cosmic. There's the horror that's woven throughout the story. Um, I love. I mean, that's my wheelhouse. Todd, you and I have talked about Carpenter. We've talked about In the Mouth of Madness. Robert, you and I have talked about damn horror movies, you know, and we'll continue to do so hopefully until we have gray ZZ Top beards. Um, you know how to, I used the word cherry pick before. You know how to cherry pick the good stuff. You know, you go top shelf on it, which I really do appreciate. And it's not to say that other authors, that they just cobble things together. Not at all. But you do take your time with it. The horror that you introduce makes sense within the confines of the novel, but it also makes sense in the grander scheme of, and this isn't a spoiler. I mean, we get to it, the meteorite and what it means and the implications it has for Arthur and the community. It all works so well. I mean, I hate to turn into Chris Farley with "remember that was so great," but you know, dude, you really knocked it out of the park in this one, man. I'm just so thrilled for you because
Thank you.
this is a big one.
I think
Since you're such a Devil's Creek fan, did you happen to notice the Easter egg?
No, no, no! Don't you dare call me out on my own interview. What was it? Oh, you're gonna fucking
When Jerry's watching TV and he's scrolling through the commercials.
I totally missed it. I totally missed it. Oh, you
Yeah.
bitch. Wait, are there any other Easter eggs that I need to know about, or is that?
Oh, there is one, but it's not related to my work, but related to the work of Anthony Rapino.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. You mention it, so Rapino fans will dine out.
Yeah, so Rapino created a town called Moon Hill, and his first novel, exists in that universe, and his collection, Greetings from Moon Hill, which I actually published myself, which is a fantastic Bizarro collection, which you should check out. Check out all of Tony's work. He's fantastic.
Cool.
But Moon Hill it's like Twilight Zone meets Twin Peaks,
it's a good way to describe it.
And so Tony lives up around Stroudsburg area and Pennsylvania, and Moon Hill kind of exists nearby. So when I created Fairview, I asked him, like, hey, I've got this meteorite in this story. Do you mind if I name drop Moon Hill in this? I'll go for it. So it also exists in the same universe as Rapino's Moon Hill stories.
All right. All right. Little shout out for Tony. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anthony's wonderful. He's a crazy, crazy fun writer also.
He's also an artist and sculptor. He's the guy who brought this into the
Oh, I love that.
the world. It's the idol from Devil's Creek,
That's fantastic.
right?
He's a very talented dude.
Jesus Christ, he's talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His YouTube channel is fabulous also.
Here's another one. He did this for when we kickstarted his collection. This is one of the creatures. The
Oh,
pumpkin god. Twisty pumpkin god.
I don't have that one, I don't think.
Well, it's because, you're not a real fan.
That's true. That's true. I just throw money at things.
Yes.
But his can I plug his YouTube channel?
Please do.
Candy Corn Apocalypse.
Unicorn Pocket.
It's also his Instagram name, but his YouTube channel is so much fun. I love it. I watch his YouTube channel. I watch old videos. I watch replays of old ones that I've watched. He's a delight. He's just, especially around Halloween time, he's a delight.
Yeah, he's a huge Halloween nerd, as we all are. But Tony takes it to another level. And yeah, he's a foodie. He loves to cook. He loves to bake. I fucking hate him because he shows all these amazing pastries on his Instagram around the holidays, and it's just like they look like so good. Just wanna, just
You
want to
can move
kidnap him and
yourselves,
make him
man.
cook for me.
The talented dude.
Yeah,
Todd,
extremely
tell us how
talented
we
guy.
can support. I've seen you everywhere because, of course, I follow you on Instagram and I'm seeing all the events. What do you got coming up? How can we support you? How can we get out there? I'll do my part. I know Robert's going to do his part. We're telling everybody about the book. There's going to be a nice article to go along and a review.
Thank you.
Boy, oh boy, do I put the boots to this fucking book? No, I'm just kidding. It'll be a love letter, Todd. You earned it.
Okay,
Do it.
I appreciate it.
How can we
So
support you?
events coming up. I will be in Beacon, New York this Saturday at Stanza Books.
Okay.
In conversation with fellow author Jonathan Lees, who, if you've never met Jonathan, he's a sweetheart, and I love him dearly. And I'm glad that they paired us together because I know it's going to be a great conversation. So I'll be there signing and talking to Jonathan about the Sundowners dance.
Cool.
And then, actually, let me pull up my calendar because I don't remember what's next.
I will interject. I will be there to derail that conversation between John and Todd, because I plan on having a few cocktails before the
Oh,
reading,
God.
and
That's wonderful.
probably gonna burn the bookstore down.
So happy you're going to be there, Rob.
You should be happy, baby.
Robert, don't get too messed up. I'm going to see you on Sunday. I'm going to be at I'm going to go to Wild East.
Yes. I was going to ask if you were going to come. I'm very excited about that.
You're coming in from Sleepy Hollow? Hell yeah, man. I'm going to go over there.
John will be there too, the one who reached out to you, my buddy John.
John and I had such a good conversation that night. I love that guy.
He's a good dude.
So the next thing I have coming up after Stanza, I've got a couple of weekends off, and then I'm going to be at StokerCon in the second week of June.
Okay. Robert, are you
So
going to
that's-
Stoker? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be there.
That's the next one for me. And yeah, more events are, being discussed.
We have
And
the one in July. We have the event in July.
yeah, we've
That'll
got
be
one in
nice.
July at the Barnes & Noble in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, dude, that's where we met with Nicole Wolverton back in the day.
No, that's not the one.
Where was that?
That was like somewhere closer to Philly.
I like that you put it in your dream journal. This was the day that I met Sean. I like it.
Oh, you totally got it. No, I just have a weird memory where certain details just stick.
That-
No, this one is like more like northwestern Pennsylvania, or like, well, north central PA.
All right.
It's a nice store. It's a really lovely
Yeah.
store. They do a nice job. They roll out the red carpet for the horror people, and we usually grab a little bitey bite after and stuff. It's always a good time.
Can I remind the two of you to use Macabre Daily as a megaphone? Please, you've got events coming up. We'll put it on our socials. I'll put it on my personal. We'll put it on the Macabre Daily. We'll put it in the stories. We'll just,
All right.
get as much traction as
Well, I just shared about the Stanza thing today on Instagram.
All right, cool. I'll tell you.
So
I'll
share
pick that
that.
up and we'll do it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Can we talk about your big day?
Yeah, we could talk about my big day.
All right. I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled when I heard that Bad Hand Books, who I love, not only are they great people and they do a phenomenal job, I also like I like what they stand for. Especially today. I like their stance on justice and equality and what's right and what's wrong. And and I feel the same way about you two gentlemen. And then to have you partner up with them. Oh, someone put that chocolate in my peanut butter. Oh, that's good stuff.
I could do without that visual, but thank you.
Oh, I'll put the chocolate in your peanut butter, baby.
Ottone, you behave yourself. I knew you were going to say that you would do
This
that.
interview was respectable until you joined, Ottone.
I haven't even had anything to drink today, so
All I know is I'm walking in the fucking door of Wild East now with a Hershey bar and a jar of Skippies.
So yeah,
Tell everybody what's happening with Bad. I don't want to steal your thunder.
no, it's fine. So
Announce it.
today, it was announced that Bad Hand Books will be picking up uh my two biggest books actually to date. Devil's Creek and Cold Black and Infinite are um going to be released next year through Bad Hand, with actual distribution this time. So it will be widely accessible for booksellers everywhere to acquire this without having to jump through hoops and hurdles, which is a big thing for me because I tend to do a lot of in-person stuff, and it's always difficult when a bookseller has trouble getting books because a certain other publisher wouldn't set their discount high enough. Uh, Not to go into all that, but actually a little bit. I will go into that a little bit. So for those who are unaware, I pulled my books from Cemetery Dance a couple of weeks ago now due to non-payments and also being publicly insulted by the owner. That all went viral. He's blocked anyone who has spoken out against him. Yeah, real piece of work, that guy. He was mocking the fact that he was only 3 weeks late on my royalties. And, it's not the first time, it was every time. So I'm not encouraging people to boycott the paperback line of Cemetery Dance because there are a lot of great authors there who don't deserve the abuse, and should absolutely, get their sales. But I am suggesting that people maybe reconsider pre-ordering any limited editions that Cemetery Dance puts out, and or anything that the owner, Mr. Chismar, publishes himself.
So
Don't give
anything,
them-
in other words, anything that Dick Cheese himself has his hands in, we will boycott.
Yeah, I'm always a firm believer in vote with your wallet, and
Yeah.
It could have been me, it could have been anybody else he disrespected like that, and I would still be saying the same thing. Um, Publishing's hard enough as it is, writing is even harder, and we don't need people like that in the industry, especially one who's been getting away with this sort of bullshit for over 20 years.
The weird thing, too, it's like what happened to you is like the latest and like kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back kind of thing. But it's like this fucking guy puts out a magazine, supposedly, if anybody's ever actually fucking gotten one in the past year. But like, you can't run something and say like, yeah, subscribe to this, and then it'll come out when it comes out. I did an interview for Cemetery Dance 2 years ago with Haley Newland, and it was like the best interview I've ever done.
Right?
And that interview has gone, and I love Haley, all the love to Haley in the world. That interview has gone fucking nowhere. It's not on their website. It's not published anywhere.
Yep.
Haley Newland is somebody who deserves a lot of love and a lot of credit, and a lot of her interviews and stuff that I'm sure she's got a ton of them for Cemetery Dance have not seen the light of day.
Yeah, I've done 2 interviews with Haley for Cemetery Dance. Neither one have seen the light of day, and she did message me recently and say that she was looking to find a new home for it. So, which I appreciate. Haley's awesome, and her interviews are awesome.
Maybe I should reach out to Haley.
I don't see why you shouldn't.
Maybe you should.
I mean, Macabre Daily will pick up any interviews you guys have that have been done and put them in print. Digital print.
I know.
Yeah, I'll send her a message after we're done here and tell her to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And in all sincerity, like
Thank you, Todd.
there are people who do good interviews in this whole like horror writer world or whatever. Haley is easily one of the 2 or 3 best. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like-
to sit on her work, that's crazy. And your work. Yeah.
I just like I feel bad that her stuff is not be like she has a way about doing an interview that's like it feels very organic and it feels more like a conversation, and like especially if she really loves the work that she's talking about, the conversation goes into a beautiful, and I'm sure that's how, because Todd, I obviously have not read your interviews because they haven't fucking come out. But again, it's like, when somebody does good work, it should see the light of day. Like they should be able to enjoy the fruits of that labor.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I think about the interview I did with her all the time, and I was so proud and so happy with how it went. And it's infuriating that it's not out. I don't care about like, oh, buy my books, whatever. I care that like she crafted an interview that was so goddamn good, and it's not going to see the light of day.
Well, the great thing is that these interviews are still they're still relevant, you know, because your work is still relevant. Let's try and make something happen here. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry that happened to the two.
Oh, it's fine. You know, like in my case, I'm all the better for it because I'm not with that publisher anymore. And Bad Hand has, you know, taken on these books. I've known Doug for about 8 years, and I've worked with him extensively in Bad Hand as a designer, and now I'm honored to get to be one of their authors as well.
I love the relationship that you're building there. I think that's fantastic. I cannot wait for these two books to have a wider audience and bigger distribution. And I love that it's through Bad Hand. I mean, I think that's
Me too.
fantastic.
Let's
All
not
right.
lose sight. Let's not lose sight of the fact that the Sundowners Dance is out, and
Oh, you mean this?
It is
Yeah.
a
Sundowner
real
Dance.
legitimate achievement. And you know, the cemetery dance stuff, I think perhaps unfairly derailed some of the promotion for Sundowners Dance,
You know,
because
I don't
Sundowners
think
Dance
it
deserves
did.
the spotlight.
I
Well,
don't
you're
think
getting a
it
lot of
did.
attention, which is good because it puts attention on the book. But at the same time, we should be celebrating the release of a new book. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the
Well,
thing, you know, and it's
That's
a remarkable achievement that thankfully is handled by somebody whose name is not Dick Cheese.
for the
I'm never gonna
attorney,
listen.
but for the potential attorneys who might be listening to this, I did not say that.
Yeah.
I did not say that.
Can't
Why
wait
not
to
just
get
call
to-
it's a name. It's a reference. I'm never gonna get a Stephen King blurb. I'm not worried about it. So, like, you know, it's Sundowners Dance is the moment. It is the book of the year. All right. If you're gonna
Well,
find one horror novel this year that's not from me, buy the Sundowners Dance, because that's the one. I mean, of novels, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of really fun, exciting stuff coming out. A lot of great novellas, novelettes, collections, etc.
Yeah, lots of stuff not written by Rob Ottone.
That's right.
I have 2 books coming out
This year. So, but I think, you know, this is really a remarkable achievement. And like I said, I think it's
You'll get your interview, Ottone. Don't you worry. You'll get your interview.
I'm exhausted. I'm taking a
Oh.
break until after the school year wraps up.
Rob, thank you very much for your kind words, though. It means a lot to me.
We're running
From
out
both
of
of you.
time here,
Thank you.
fellas. So I'm gonna wrap it up because we got our last 30 seconds. Rob, it's a pleasure. I'll see you on Sunday. I can't wait. I'm gonna hug the stuffing out of you. Todd, 2025 is your year, my friend. Robert, you too. I know we have 2 books coming out, but Todd, this Sundowners Dance is your crowning achievement, and I love
Thank
your
you.
work. I've loved every word you've written. I'm a huge fan, and I mean, against my better judgment, I adore you as well. I'm a huge fan of you as a person. So
I should point out something, an error in something you said. My crowning achievement so far.
aha!
Okay.
Well said.
But thank
All
you.
right, guys.
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for both coming on. Yeah, please use Macabre Daily and Sean O'Connor. I hate to talk about myself in the third person, but use me as a megaphone. Happy to do it. You guys both are incredibly creative people. Love your work, and I think people deserve to see more of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Anytime. Are you kidding
Thanks
me?
for letting me
Indoor
crash.
policy. You 2 sons of bitches are coming back. I'm not joking. We're going to talk about the burbs.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. I'll email you both. Bye,
All right.
gang.
Later, man.
And there you have it. What a great interview. I hope I don't have to get a lawyer. Anyway, I think we made the point. Pay your authors for the work that they've done. It's only fair. Pay them on time and pay them what they're worth. Everybody should be paid what they're worth. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We have so many great authors coming up, but I do want to make a point that Todd Keisling is one of the most dynamic and exciting authors out there. The Sundowner's Dance is his best work to date, and that is... he's got incredible books previously. I'm just learning now how to speak English in real time. He has a lot of great works, and this is the best of the bunch so far. I cannot wait to see what Todd has coming out next. Please support him by going out and buying The Sundowner's Dance. You will not regret it. It is a fantastic read, and I know you're going to enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me, Sean O'Connor from Macabre Daily, and the Paper Cuts book review column. Until we meet again, take care.